Welcome to this video. Coach Jerry here. Welcome to this rainy Sunday, at least where I am. I decided to go live today as my schedule allows it. Not much you get to do when it rains like that. Uh, I'm still gonna work out. That's the thing. Welcome. Let me know who you are. I see that yeah, some people is here live. Let me know if you're here live. Let me know how you're doing. Uh, Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. The question I'm going to ask today is one that been asked many, many times. Can I lose weight if I have an autoimmune condition, if I have problem with my thyroid? Can I lose the weight if I have insulin resistance? Can I lose the weight if I have menopause? And of course, the simple answer is yes, yet it's not that obvious because I cannot count the amount of time that people, especially ladies, told me I'm not losing weight because of my thyroid. I'm not losing weight because of my insulin resistance. I'm not losing weight because of menopause. And today we're gonna understand why that's not the case and what the situation really looks like. And of course, if you stay until the end, you're also gonna get my personal framework on how to start losing weight, understanding in what metabolic condition you are at the moment and what to do about it, right? And again, each individual situation looks different. You know, menopause looks very different than insulin resistance, both on exercise, both on nutrition, both on lifestyle, both on the physiology. It looks very different. Yet the mentality when you say I cannot lose weight because of is the same. And it's nothing or very little to do with the strategy that you're utilizing. It's very little to do with the tools and it's a lot to do with the fact that you don't believe you can do it and you feel like it's impossible. And I would say, if you feel like you cannot do something, chances are you can't do something because, like, you prophesizing on yourself that you cannot do it, that you don't have the ability to do it, and so forth. So, if you're here live, comment live. If you're watching a replay, please comment replay. I see that we're going live. It's an office hours as well, so I'm going to paste the Zoom link. Um, and I am also going to record this on Zoom as well. So welcome again to this cool video. We're gonna answer the question that everybody asks all the time, or better say, we're gonna go against the statement that everybody's saying. I cannot lose weight because of my thyroid, because of my insulin resistance, because of my menopause. And in fact, of course, you can, and you're gonna learn how to in this video. But specifically, what you're gonna also learn is that if you do not change your mindset that gets you to feel that way, it's gonna be very hard. It's gonna be very hard to do it. Okay, so let's jump into it. Um, how can we just summarize this whole situation? It's simple. Um, there is facts, it's undeniable facts that, and as I'm gonna share my screen. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Let me just paste the Zoom link for those of you that, since this is an office hours, and for those of you that don't know what that means that once in a while, randomly, I'm gonna go live into this with Zoom, and you have the chance to come in as I'm finishing my presentation. Whether you're a client or a non-client, you can basically ask questions about anything. Let me know if you like ask questions about your own situation, but basically coaching you for free inside this time here, right? It's one of the way that my clients get support. Is one of the way that prospects that wants to know more about the program get support. And I highly suggest that you utilizing because this is a testing phase for office hours. I might or I might not keep it up depending on the people that show up. And again, crazy enough, people always want stuff for free, but as you get this option to get coached for free, very little people show up into Zoom. So just take advantage of it. Let's jump into it, right? It's hard, it's harder to lose weight when you have indeed a condition, right? When I say a condition, I mean a real, true metabolic issue, right? Let me just share my screen as we jump into this um, this framework here. We know that many people, and everybody's journey looks different, but that we have people that want to be maybe losing, I don't know, 10 kilos, and then we have people that want to lose 20, 30 kilos. And usually when people, ladies over 40 come to me and they say, over 40, Jerry, over 40, it's very hard to lose weight. And I say, yeah, that's true. Do you have a real metabolic condition going on? Because if you do, in fact, it's a little bit harder, right? Crazy enough, everybody feel like the metabolism is holding them back, and they experience symptoms, they experience cravings, low energy, bad sleep. They feel like it's getting slower and slower to see results. And I say, do you have menopause? Well, I'm not sure. Do you have insulin resistance? Yeah, I feel like I have. Okay, do you have a lab? Can you see something on the lab? No, I can't. Do you have a thyroid issue? No, I don't. It's like, and then you ask them, okay, when is the last time you worked out? Um, in and on and off, maybe once a month. When is the last time that you went to sleep? That you went to walk? Sorry. I don't know, like maybe one, 2, 3 thousand steps, maybe once a week. Do you drink a lot of alcohol? Yes, I do. Do you feel like you're eating good? Yeah, I feel like I'm eating good, but then I snack a lot, right? I'm stressing all the time. The weekends is a mess. I go to restaurant all the time. So basically, everyone wants to pretend like, they have this kind of like problem, like menopause or thyroid issue, and then they don't really do the basis, right? And this video is not for those people. This video is for people that actually know they have a diagnosis that indeed they have menopause or they have something going on. And the reality is that if you do have insulin resistance, you have a harder time processing a lot of calorie, a lot of carbs. Your lipase, the way that you burn fat, is getting slower. If you have menopause or perimenopause, you are, dealing with a lot of symptoms, a lot of more susceptible to cravings, bad sleep, that automatically get you to be in a bad mood. You get hot flashes, and those things are very real. But when you say, I cannot lose weight because of those things, you basically allow yourself to believe that this is going to be the reality. And I always use this analogy, and it's the best analogy, that you can come up with. Everybody has played video games when they were kids, right? And there used to be, at least now, no, I haven't played video games forever now, but I used to love a lot of video games. Nintendo was there, Sega Genesis was there. There was a bunch of like things. There was a Game Boy at the time. It was like, and it was like 30, 40, or 35 years ago. Let me know if you're one of those. By the way, let me know what video games you use. But there used to be a setup. There used to be easy setup. There used to be normal setup, and there used to be a hard setup. And for those that you started with easy and then like you got good and you say, let me just play with normal because then some features unlocked and so forth, right? And And the crazy part was that, in fact, when you used to play hard, it was a lot harder to win. It was a lot harder to get everything done. And as I'm explaining you this, I'm going to open up our foundational website because I want to get a point across later on. I want to visualize some stuff. And I'm also going to open up, let me just see if I can do that because I really want to give you value today. And I want you to have a chance to really test, how your thing works, metabolic speaking and everything. So basically, when you have something like menopause, perimenopause, insulin resistant, PCOS, you name it, comment down what you feel like is holding you back, because I know that there is a bunch of these things, right? A real metabolic conditions. When you have one of those, you are basically you're forced play with the heart. It's like playing a video game in the hard setup. Okay. You automatically start from the harder level. And harder level means like it's going to get harder to go to the next level. It's going to be harder to see results. It's going to be much harder to progress. And but the crazy part is that in in life, like whenever that comes around, like when you used to play a video game, at least that was me. That everybody's different, but that was me at the time. When I used to be that person, I just played and I just was like, I'm gonna get better every single day. I'm going to get better. I'm simply gonna get better every single day. Um, Yet the funny part is that when you instead are faced with all these situations like menopause, perimenopause, insulin resistant, you don't say to yourself, "I'm just playing with a hard setup and I'm gonna try to get better." You just say, I'm just gonna avoid seeing. I mean, I'm gonna try, and if it doesn't work, then I'm basically, I'm giving up, right? And this is kind of like kind of like a crazy situation, right? Because if you see life that way, you basically kind of like saying to yourself, like I'm basically giving the I'm giving an option. I'm giving like my mindset. I'm setting up my mindset to not succeed, right? And crazy enough, this is kind of like the main problem in the first place. And today, right now, I'm gonna show you what I mean. So there is, several frameworks that you can see that you have to ask yourself, what should I really do if I have menopause? Because there is the person that says, I don't think I can fix it, and I'm simply not gonna lose weight because of that. And then there is the person that understands that you can still do something, and what should I do? Before you actually asking yourself, what should I do? You have to get the bottom of the pyramid. This is the pyramid of success. There is a pyramid of exercise. We're going to see that for those of you that come into the master class. And then there is a pyramid of success. So crazy that on the bottom of the pyramid, there is not the strategy, how to fix insulin resistance. There is not the tactics. What should I use? Intermittent fasting or I don't know, like vegan or I don't know, keto. There is not the tools. Should I use my fitness pal? No, there is like the belief, the action, right? Because the right belief gives you the right action. The principles, right? The principle needs to be there. And why am I showing you this is because if you believe that the earth is flat, despite showing you science that is not flat, that is round, you're simply not going to take the action because you say, well, it's useless that I take action because it's not going to work anyway. If you believe that insulin resistance is why you're not losing weight, you're basically gonna eat carb, just gonna say, oh, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want because it's not gonna work anyway. If you believe that there was this debate in a podcast of one of my coach um, mentors that I was actually listening the other day, he's also running a podcast. There was the debate about soda versus diet soda and which one is better, right? And there were people actually saying that despite science showing you that not only diet soda is better than regular soda to lose weight is actually better. They did a study than people that drink actual water to lose weight. Why? Because it gives a taste that sometimes your brain needs a taste. There is the bubbles that expand your stomach. Therefore, like it's gonna create volume. It's gonna make you feel more fuller, right? And the crazy part was that some people commented, I don't care about the science. I just know it's bad because of the artificial sweeteners, like almost like they're believe that they causing cancers. Well, I give news for you, right? Artificial sweeteners that are also in regular Coke, that are also in regular soda. On top of that, in the regular soda, you have a bunch of sugar in there. So the debate from diet versus regular is crazy that there is even a debate, right? But for people that have the belief that something doesn't work, or they have their own belief that this isn't working, well, then you need to fix your belief. Otherwise, you're not gonna get results. This is kind of like the success cycle, right? This is very famous with Tony Robbins. I don't know those of you who knows. Everybody's born with a potential, but if you believe that something is not gonna work, you're not gonna take the necessary action to see the good results. You're gonna take some actions, you're gonna get some results, but you're gonna get bad results. And then you're gonna reinforce the belief that say, see, I'm the one that I'm failing all the time. Instead, What about if you change the belief? This goes on the other ways as well. If you believe something can be successful, then your potential grows. You take more actions, you get more results, and then you reinforce the belief that you're actually getting better, right? The second thing is principle. If you want to lose weight, there is no way to go against the law of thermodynamics. Despite whatever diet you want to be using, calorie in versus calorie out still outweighs everything else, despite having metabolic issues. So this is kind of principles that you need to go after your belief. Then there is strategy, right? Strategy means that, in this case, this was made for the master class, the pyramid of exercise, right? Or the pyramid of nutrition, right? Strategy means like what strategy are we using? Are we using intermittent fasting? I know that if you're in menopause, there is a threshold carbohydrates you're gonna need, right? If you're in insulin resistant, it's a lot about timing, it's a lot about chronic um, calorie control. If you are autoimmune disease, there is, elimination diets in there. We need to test what you're intolerant and tolerant to. There is a lot of things like that. Once you understand the strategy and the principle, then there is the tactics. So if we know that we need to establish a calorie deficit, and we know that we need to have, let's say, 150 grams of carb, how are we going to do that? Are we going to track the food with the tools like MyFitnessPal? Are we going to just meal prep? Are we going to use recipe? Because whatever tactic and tool you use is kind of going to determine how good the strategy is. But think about that. If you go in my fitness pal and you cannot make that happen because you don't have the skills, and then it doesn't work, and then you don't have your belief that you're a person that can get results, you're gonna go and you're gonna say, see, it didn't work for me. That thing, intermittent fasting doesn't work. Well, when the reality is that you don't work, you don't are necessarily ready to get the skills to make something work because the person you are, not because the strategy is bad. And I see this all the time. People cutting themselves short, people not prioritizing what they need to prioritize, people always starting something and then stopping, people finding a bunch of excuses. And this is why they end up um, 40 years old, 50, 60 years old with now a worse body, and worse body not only on the outside, but on the inside that creates a worse physiology that creates all these symptoms like sleeping bad, hunger, cravings, bad mood. And if you have bad habits when you're younger, with a worse body and worse physiology, it's going to be much harder to get results. And it's going to be much harder to change your perspective, right? And so today we're here to change your perspective. Now, how do you do that? Well, simple. You need to start looking at the right things. You need to stop looking at the top of the pyramid and start looking at the bottom, right? So there is two distinct points. Number one, you need to be able to understand if your body is actually ready to lose weight. And for that, we have a quiz, okay? You should type down below quiz that is gonna give you three scenarios. Your metabolism is optimized, your metabolism is close to get optimized, and your metabolism is not ready. Okay. In any of those scenarios, it's gonna be a video of me talking, telling you exactly what you should do. And most of the time it's gonna be organized chart. Okay, because the reality is that if you don't know how to do it, there is really two things to do. You're either gonna prioritize it and you're gonna fix it once and for all, or you're gonna start doing stuff alone, getting it back maybe in a year or a year and a half or two, having more issues, having spent more time, more money, and that sometimes when you keep dieting randomly, you're just gonna be in a situation that fixing is no longer gonna be an option or it's gonna be very hard. If instead you know that you can lose weight, right? When you have a issue or let's say a condition, like it could be um, menopause or perimenopause, you want to understand that, let's say that you get some weight loss, but then it stops and all that. You want to basically understand something that not everybody never pay attention to, which is basically the rate of the speed, meaning like how fast should I go, right? How fast should I go? And this is one resource I can give you, okay? This is like inside it's one thing inside our program, how to track results. And let's say that you want to be losing, you're 75 and you want to be losing up to, let's say, 60 kilos or 58. And if you go very slow, very 20% calorie deficit, this is kind of like what you're really supposed to get, right? In a half a year, you get 66. In 1 year, you get to that specific place. Then you can just keep tracking you can actually keep tracking what's actually supposed to happen, the average, and what is actually happening. So you know that if you keep tracking every single week or every other week your weight, you're realizing whether or not you're going slower or faster. And that tells you that even though you're going slower, there is a positive trend, right? Now we're only looking at the weight. Just keep in mind. If you want this calculator, common calculator, watch the video right now. You're gonna have to like go file, create a copy, and then name it, rename it. I'm not gonna give access to this based on requesting access. So just watch the video. Common calculator, but then watch the video. Then if you are inside our program, I'm gonna show you now a few things inside the website. I always say that the weight is the last that everybody wants to give the importance of a piece of equipment like a scale, telling you whether or not you're succeeding. And success progress is never ever um, measured from the outcome. It's never measured from a scale. Nowadays, the scale don't even measure the weight anymore, but they also try to measure water, fat, and all that stuff. I can tell you that those tests are highly unrealistic and also very imprecise. Therefore, it's up to you if you want to do it, but there are other ways to measure whether you're successful, right? And inside our foundational, it's simple. Like our foundation, there is something that you said you can track results, and this is kind of like the way that you track results. If you're getting stronger, if you're getting more resistance, so you're supposed to take this test now, you're supposed to take it in a month, is a way to know that you're improving. If you do this weight to hip ratio, there is a calculator that when you take measurements and you see that you're improving, you're going from a pear body shape to maybe a V body shape, you're actually improving, right? And of course, there are the pictures and measurements that you're supposed to take that to know that you're improving. Now, the thing you just saw, that's the foundations in our website. If you want to get that course, right now, I believe it's standing at $97. There is no support, it's just the course. Up to you whether you want coaching on top of it or not, but that's the right information that you need to get for you to actually be able to get some results. Now, I hope this video helps you and start by really assessing what you should be doing. But I feel like that's the way to start. Okay. And so comment calculator if you want the calculator, comment better over 40 if you want the course. I'm gonna send you over the way for you to get in. And then of course quiz if you want the metabolic quiz as well. Coach Jerry here. I'm gonna talk to you soon. Hopefully you have a fantastic Sunday. Bye-bye.